Alright, so we're gonna be doing this oil change on this Yamaha Raptor 700. As we all know, oil flows a lot better once it's warm, just like any other fluid. Once it's warmed up, gonna let it run for a few minutes. All right, basically once that's finished up draining out, you could just move your oil pan, place it right under here, because now we're moving on to the casing. Just set that napkin there. And you can use a 7/8 to get it from there. The bolt's right here. Just twist, slipped off a little bit. But as you can see, usually once it breaks loose, you can take it off with your finger. Of course, have a napkin ready for the mess. Basically, as you can see, it's already draining. Let it drain out a bit more. Leave it for a few minutes. Let it do what it has to do. Don't think that all this dirt and things that are floating over the top, like here, is from the quad. It's just an old oil pan I found. Quickly picked it up and going to use. As you can tell, the oil that's dripping now, still good color, pretty light. Like I said, I do my oil changes typically every second or third ride. No matter if doesn't matter if it's for an hour, 2 hours, half a day. I do it every 2 rides. So just let it drain out some more and we'll go from there. While that drains out, you can move back by putting this bolt back into your oil holder or container, whatever you want to call it. You just call it oil holder. Not because it's named that, but it's what I call it. Doesn't need a special name. Yeah. Sorry there. Go about 10 pounds. But here, I just kind of set it into it's pretty much. This is what I usually do sometimes when it's difficult to get it in. You can use your left hand basically to screw it in and hand tighten it as much as you can. With this one, all you're doing is applying pressure so it continues to go up as you're screwing it in. Once you feel like it's pretty screwed in and you can't get in no more, that's when you take your socket and finish it off. So once it's in there, just kind of tighten it to where you feel like obviously it's not going to come out. It's pretty tight. At least that's how I measure it. Just I use a torquer, whatever you want to call it. And from there, you don't want to tighten it too much. Because of course, if you over tighten it, and of course that's aluminum, you're just gonna end up stripping it. And that's not gonna be good. So yeah. Letting the remain of that oil drip out. Once we have that, we'll be able to pry open our oil filter, remove that. This is the drainage plug, so I like to start off with this one first, then move to this one, this one, this one. Like so, and pretty much. So we can go ahead and grab our little belt socket and kit. Slide over a bit, just enough. Always use a knuckle. Try to, just set it around here somewhere, so that way once you start removing all these, you won't have to be looking for somewhere to. Pry that loose. They have to be put on really tight. Just because no one wants a loose oil filter. Pry that one loose. Pry that loose as well. Sorry for the camera issues. I'll get it in the best angle I can. Once that's loose, you just hand screw, unscrew, hand unscrew, whatever. Come out like so. Once you unplug this last screw, you should begin to get some oil. There it goes. Once you remove that, you just kind of let it do its thing. You have your oil cap. You always got to make sure there's no rubber laying around in the inside, just sitting there. Remove our oil filter. It's a bit dirty, so it's definitely time for a new filter. So this is where the napkins come in use. Clean off any excessive oil you might just have running down the side or laying there. Your extra napkin, of course, cleans up anything around. I personally haven't gave this quad a wash in about two weeks, so it is a little dirty. You can see it everywhere. There's a lot of dust. It's been sitting, but as you can see, it's pretty much cleaned up now. A lot better than it was earlier. There you have it. The only order that remains. You can't be able to grab a touch and then just go ahead and clean it off. That's all. That's nothing. Now these aren't any special napkins or any of that, but they get the job done. Most mechanics use, like the blue towels that you could get at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. I just use whatever I have around me. Like this, so use what you got. A little bit in there. Kind of dripped off in there a little bit, so just clean that up as much as we can. It's a bit more clean. And yep, once our oil has begun or finished draining out, you have your oil filter out and pretty much everything has slowed down from dripping. You could go ahead and put your drainage bolt back in, give it a little clean, slip it back in, tighten it, and from there we'll move on to refilling the crankcase with oil, lubricate our filter, and last, what I'll do is add oil into our oil holder. Okay, now that our oil has completely drained out, go ahead and grab our plug, our bolt, get it all clean. I've already cleaned it, of course, but let's give it another top off just to make sure it's nice and shined up. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it back on. Clean the lining so that I'm not dripped. And so our bottom guard, once it's on there, go ahead and use our 7/8 socket. Just go ahead and tighten it. Just tighten it to where you know it's not gonna come off. Snug it on there the best as you can. So you have a torquer. From there, we're gonna go and move on to grab this one. A new oil filter. So what I was referring to, that you want to have the best and cleanest oil grabber is these little plastics tend to come off. So sometimes, you know, if you don't change it too often and you're one of those riders that tend to change them every other 6 or 7 rides, these are eventually going to come off, these plastics. So you just got to make sure that they're not stuck in here or behind the casing here. Once you have that, just grab some of your oil. Pry it open. Once you pry it open, basically, all you're gonna do here, grab your oil filter with one finger, dip it in there, make sure these rings are lubricated, just so you prevent from anything happening or for them not sealing in right. Or both back and front. You just do it as I do it about 4 to 6 times, but you do as you please, as you wish, whatever you want to call it. You know, till you see that they're pretty much lubricated and ready to go back in. So once you feel like they're ready to go back in, you put the nipple part first. Set it in like so. It doesn't have a direction or any of that. But once you have that set in there, go ahead and grab your case, or filter casing. And pretty much just set it in there and begin the process again. You have pretty much put your oil filter casing right back on. You could just hand tighten if you like, but pretty much stays on there. Come back, use your 10/30. If you have one of these, you'll be able to measure it and begin to tighten it. The drainage plug, I like to tighten it first, not because it goes in a certain order, but I just tighten it to a certain amount so we can still see an opening. Then you move on to the right one, so that way it's kind of in order. Not any paper order, of course, but just the order I use. Do the same thing, tighten as much as you can. Well, not as much, sorry. Just snug it on there until you're completely done. Tighten all of them all around. Then you come back and finish tightening them all. To where, of course, they won't come off or be loose or any of that. Always want to check it kind of fits perfect. You want to snug something on there crooked or something down there. Tighten that one there. And then you're solid. Check around, make sure everything's back in order. Not dripping any. Clean it off. Afterwards, check it again, just in case you have to adjust it a bit. But usually they fit on pretty nice, so you don't have to go readjusting it. Get a clean paper towel. So, well, not too clean, you can tell from underneath there. Get a few rows, still the same. Just check for any openings you may be able to have. But so far, so good. Doesn't look like we have any loose parts or perfect. Once we have that done, move into filling up our crankcase. I like to do this one first, of course, like I mentioned, just because we'll only use a little bit over a quart to fill her up. It won't be, you probably pretty much measure it just from eyeing it out. See, it's empty in there. Go ahead. Have our oil. Now we just have to get a cone so we can fill it up. Same cone. This is the one I always use for my oil changes on it. Can never go wrong with it. Alright, so we had just finished putting our oil in. It's right between the 12th and the 14th, so right about there. I'm gonna go ahead and put our screw back on. Please, please, please do not over tighten this one. Do not, strip it, because you will be in a real tough situation if this strips. Just tighten it enough where it feels like it's not gonna come off or pry loose. Up there should be good. If it force turns, alright, just check it one more time. Now, we're gonna move to our other side. We're gonna have our full container of oil here. As you can see, here we don't need no tools, simply just unscrew our dipstick. Set that right there. Trying to get to the third one. Set it there. Grab our funnel. And set it in there. And basically once we fill up, I'm gonna use the full quart. And then we're gonna use our other container that's on that side to basically just go filling it up. Depending on the year you have, this is a 2011. You're gonna use both quarts, well, a little bit less, probably like a quarter less of what you have remaining in the other one. But once you do so, you know, just kind of go timing it there. All right, so once we came to this side, we've already used our full quart here, empty. And we still have our quart that we previously used on the other side. It's right at the 14th. We're gonna drain it down all the way to the 8 and then check it from there. But we're looking solid now. So we're at the 12. Drain some in there. A little bit more. Don't want to overfill it. Oop, went a little bit in, but we'll check it out and see how we're looking. Nice and clean dipstick. Stick that back in there. Take it back out. And we're a little bit over full, but I think we should be fine. Shouldn't damage anything or cause any more damage. So pretty much that's it. Once you're finished up there, you have everything tightened back up, you're pretty much free to start it back up and get to riding. Thanks for watching.